So Star Wars Hunters has been delayed for a third time. Yes, a third time. And I have got more than a few things to say about this, so strap in for probably one of my all-time rants on this channel. There is a bunch of stuff that I need to say and need to get it off my chest, so strap in and be prepared for that. Now, firstly, I'll just read through the actual tweet that they put out. They put out a tweet with one of those typical images that's got a bit of white text over a cool looking background. That's just what every game developer does these days, and they've done exactly the same thing. And that tweet reads as follows. It says, "Dear Hunter fans, we are hard at work at bringing our vision of Star Wars Hunters to life and are committed to creating the best experience for our players. To ensure we meet the highest level of quality, we have made the difficult decision to delay the worldwide launch of Star Wars Hunters to 2024. We are thankful to all of our fans who have played Star Wars Hunters in soft launch and have loved the engagement and enthusiasm for the game shown in our soft launch territories. There are several exciting new elements we are still working hard to get into the game before it launches worldwide. These include ranked mode, exciting updates to our core gameplay mechanics, and much more. Game delays are frustrating for both fans and for us as developers, but our top priority remains to ensure players have the best possible experience. We continue to strive towards that goal on Nintendo Switch, Android, and iOS devices. Thank you for your understanding, and we'll see you in the arena soon." Now, for a bit of added context for those who maybe haven't paid close attention to the game. This game was initially slated for a 2021 launch. Now, it did soft launch in about this time of that year. It was about November roughly. However, the soft launch was only in a few regions, and the actual full launch of the game was delayed until 2022. Then it was delayed from 2022 until 2023. Now, in freaking November of 2023, the year is almost over, and it has now been delayed again until 2024. It's actually an embarrassment that they have dragged it on for this long. The game was ready for launch in probably early 2022. I think the initial delay was completely fine because the game was really good, but it had maybe a few things they wanted to work on and just get, perfectly balanced and everything before the game launched. So that first delay was completely fine by me. The second delay did not need to happen. However, that one was most likely because of the Zynga buyout. For those who don't know, Zynga was bought out by Take-Two Interactive. And so that one kind of makes sense as well. There is some hierarchical changes, new people in new places within the company, and that's obviously going to cause some sort of delays and everything. So the second one was just as frustrating, but I can somewhat understand that the company got bought out, and obviously that means things are going to go a little bit differently than they initially planned. This one though, they have absolutely no excuse for this one. The game has been, like I said, ready for launch for at least 18 months now. I think it was early 2022, I want to say like maybe March or something of 2022, that they actually released the soft launch on iOS devices as well. And in that update, they also added 2 new hunters and a bunch of different maps and modes and stuff like that. And that specific update, I remember saying it very clearly, this game is now ready for launch. It feels really good. There was nothing wrong with it. And it's even started to get content in the form of new hunters and stuff. The game is now ready to launch. And that was in early 2022. We are now nearly in 2024. And the game has still not launched, and it has only been delayed once again. Now, this is going to blow some people's minds, but for a bit of added context as to how long this game will have been in live service, think back to Battlefront 2 for anyone who played that game. The game launched very rough, obviously. It had a lot of issues with the loot box stuff, and the progression system was really bad too. So the launch of that was in November 2017, and it was very, very rough to say the least. Now, in the lifespan of that game, they then went and changed the progression system. We pretty much got no content for the first 6 months or so of the game. They completely overhauled the progression. After that, we then got the Han Solo content for Solo: A Star Wars Story. We got 2 big updates for that game, one before the movie and one after the movie. And then not too long after that at Gamescom, they actually announced the Clone Wars content. There was then a few months between that announcement and the content actually coming out. Then from there, we got pretty much a whole last year of Clone Wars content and really, really big, massive updates. We got Supremacy. We got like 4 of the main heroes in Obi-Wan, Anakin, Grievous, and Count Dooku. Heaps of new reinforcements and all that kind of stuff. There was crazy amounts of content in that year. And then after that, they even went on to a whole last new movie in The Rise of Skywalker, and they did about 6 months worth of content for that brand new movie. And then even after that, they did a few updates, for example, adding Scarif right at the end of the game before the final update. So think of all of that stuff. If you guys played the game, you'll know how long that journey felt. It felt like that was like 5 years, even though it was actually only about 2.5 years. But that was a pretty hefty game. There was a lot of content in that time frame. And now think of it like this. Star Wars Hunters will have been in freaking soft launch for a longer period than Battlefront 2's entire lifespan. That is genuinely embarrassing to think about when you think about how drastically Battlefront changed and went from being one of the most controversial launches of all time in the whole gaming industry to then essentially being one of the most loved, if not the single most loved Star Wars game ever. In that same time frame that they completely turned a game around, a AAA game might I add, this small mobile game has only been able to soft launch and essentially delay itself 3 times in a row. Like I said, that is genuinely embarrassing. If I worked at Zynga or Lucasfilm, I would actually feel physically embarrassed by these decisions. I want to make it clear all of my anger in this situation is not directed to Boss Alien themselves, who are the team actually developing the game. They are not in charge of these decisions, and I am absolutely certain the people that work at that company are just as frustrated as us because they want to get their work out there. They've been passionately working on this game for probably, 5 years now. They want this game to be out, and unfortunately the decision is not up to them. It's usually up to Zynga, and I think in this case there's a good chance this one is actually up to Lucasfilm more than Zynga itself. The reason I say that is because it does seem as though this third delay is potentially because of Star Wars Outlaws. For those who don't know, that game is launching next year, and there's been a lot of speculation that it's actually launching early next year, even though I initially thought that it was going to be late in 2024. But it is kind of looking like that game will come out a bit earlier in the year, maybe between March, April, May, and somewhere around there. And so I have a feeling, and keep in mind, this is just speculation, and there are some rumors out there, but obviously that's just rumors. None of this is confirmed or anything like that. But the speculation is that they have delayed this game because Lucasfilm do not want these games clashing. Now, I have a few examples that are going to make that look like the dumbest thing you've ever heard. If that is true, that they don't want a mobile game that is a 4v4 arena shooter clashing with a AAA open world action adventure game. Firstly, those are completely different. Just because they have Star Wars on the banner, that doesn't mean anything. They are literally the complete opposite type of games. But if the reason is they don't want them clashing, then can you answer me this? Why did they release the Mando Season 3 premiere the same day that Bad Batch came out? Why did they release Jedi Fallen Order while Battlefront 2 was still getting huge updates in 2019? Why did they release The Rise of Skywalker the same day as episode 7 of The Mandalorian? If that is the case, that they don't want these games clashing, they have 3 very, very, very clear examples there that these things don't need to worry about clashing. It's freaking Star Wars. People want to play and consume Star Wars content. They didn't need to worry about The Rise of Skywalker and Mando releasing on the same day. I literally watched Mando and then got in the car and drove to watch the midnight launching of The Rise of Skywalker. That's not a clash that they need to worry about, and especially when it comes to this game. They are entirely different types of games. You can look at the same thing for Battlefront 2 still being supported and still getting big updates. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that in November of 2019, the same month that Fallen Order launched, we got freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi in that month. Did Fallen Order suffer? No, it was one of the highest selling games that they had released that year, and they are obviously very happy with how the Jedi franchise has gone. So it is very clear that that is a dumb decision. If that is the case, obviously, like I said, keep that in mind. It's just speculation, so we don't know that for sure, but I don't see any other reason. The game is very, very clearly ready for launch. There's nothing drastically wrong with it. Of course, you can always improve your game, but there's only so much improvement you can make before it's just wasting time. They're adding all this new content. For example, they just added Char, who is the Trandoshan Hunter. They added the Death Star map, but they're adding this into the game with zero hype because the people playing the game are such a small fraction of the worldwide audience that would be there if the people were able to play the game through a worldwide launch. And so they're releasing all this content and no one actually really cares because it's not exciting for 99% of people who are interested in Star Wars Hunters, and they're essentially just wasting their work. They're putting all this work into brand new maps and hunters and everything like that, and in reality no one really cares. Going back to the Battlefront 2 example, think of all the amazing content that we got during the lifespan of Battlefront 2. Think of all the hype when General Grievous launched, when Anakin launched. Those were some of my most memorable moments in all of that game's lifespan. But now imagine all of that content was just there at launch. Now that would still be good. We would have loved to have all that content at launch, but imagine all of that was there and we never got the hype of Anakin dropping into the game, and we never got the hype of General Grievous being the first Clone Wars hero added to the game. That would take so much memory away from Battlefront 2 because as players, we want to look forward to those big updates, and unfortunately with Star Wars Hunters, they're pretty much releasing all this stuff already, and it is just I honestly think it is a waste of time. You may as well not update the game a single time until it actually launches, because it's already in a really good state, and it doesn't need more content. It can get more content after launch, but it doesn't need it right now. Now, the other thing that really annoyed me is that in their recent video, they did like this behind the scenes sort of thing for Char, who I just mentioned, the new Hunter that came out a month or so ago, and at the very end of that video, they pretty much said something along the lines of, "We'll see you soon in the arena." So that is them hinting at, you know, the game might not be too far away. Well, 1 week later, they have now delayed the game. So that is probably the most tone-deaf decision I've ever seen someone do. You cannot be saying like, "We'll see you soon," and then the next week delay it. They would have known the game was delayed a long time ago. The only reason they announced it yesterday was because of the investor call from Zynga. They would have known this decision probably months ago. So why the hell would you release that video saying, "We'll see you soon," when in reality, I'll see you in about a year from now. In that time frame, I'm going to probably play 15 to 20 different games before Star Wars Hunters comes out. So no, I won't see you very soon. I'll see you after I've literally downloaded and played 20 whole ass games in that time frame. It is such a tone-deaf thing for them to say, and it just adds to the embarrassment that I hope they feel. I genuinely hope the people at Zynga, the higher ups who make this decision, I hope they feel embarrassed. Unfortunately, they won't, because they don't even have any finger on the pulse of the gaming community. But if I was there, I would genuinely be going home tonight feeling truly embarrassed. Overall, this delay is just such an L for this game. I truly do think this could actually ruin the game's chance of success. I think the first delay was completely fine. Any delay for me, I'm actually one of those people who is fine with delays. I think they're fine. If you're going to make the game better, go for your life. The first one was fine. The second one was very frustrating because it felt ready to launch. But again, the takeover of Zynga, fair enough. I can't really complain about that. And I still kind of defended the game in that situation. Well, this one, I cannot defend it. It is genuinely embarrassing. And the amount of people I've seen that had some sort of interest in the game and have now just been like, "Nah, I'm never playing that game." That has just been an absolute joke. I genuinely do think this could ruin the game's launch. Now, it's obviously still going to do fairly well because it's a mobile game, it's free, and it's a Star Wars game. It's going to do well. But I really do think this could stop like a lot of people playing it. Also, we are entering into this sort of era of a lot of Star Wars games coming out in the next few years. So they're worried about clashing, but I think like next year we're getting Outlaws. There's every chance we could still be getting the KOTOR remaster next year. There's the Respawn shooter. There's also the Respawn strategy games. A lot of games that are pretty close on the horizon. And there is every chance that even me, who's been very keen for this game, I just go, "Nah, I just can't be bothered. There's all these other games that I'm going to play that are Star Wars based." If that Respawn shooter has got multiplayer, I can assure you I'll be playing that instead of Star Wars Hunters, because the way they've handled this has just been beyond embarrassing. And I really do feel for the dev team. I know that a lot of people on that team are very passionate about what they do. They love the game. They want it to be out there for us to play. And they're probably just as frustrated, if not potentially more frustrated than us, because the higher ups at Zynga and Lucasfilm clearly have quite literally zero idea of what they're actually doing. But anyway, I could honestly go on for hours and hours about this. I'm going to leave it there. I'm very keen to hear your thoughts on this game. If you were interested in playing it, be sure to leave a comment down below and let me know, does this like ruin the game's launch for you? Do you just now completely not care? Or are you still interested and you're just kind of annoyed that, you know, the delay is going to take a bit longer, but you're still going to play it when it launches? I'm very keen to hear your thoughts on it. And as well as those who have played the game, be sure to let me know your thoughts as well, because it's probably even more frustrating for us that we have played it. We know how good the game actually is, and we really want it to launch. And unfortunately, it's probably still around a year away now. So let me know your thoughts down below. But with that being said, thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and may the force be with you always.